Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for choosing to click on this video and joining me again for today's video. So today is going to be absolutely jam-packed, full of cleaning motivation and decluttering motivation. We've got two spaces and a rather small linen closet to focus on today. So we'll be starting out in the kitchen this morning, which is an absolute disaster. As you can see from the footage, there is just dishes upon dishes. There is also mess on all of the cabinetry. The appliances are dirty inside and out, inside the microwave, and fingerprints all over the fridge. So we're going to be tackling all of that today. So just time-lapsing through cleaning up the clutter and all the items on the counter in the kitchen. Then before moving on to, and wiping down surfaces as I go. Then before moving on to doing the dishes, I'm just going to focus on getting some fruit into the dehydrator and get that one going so that can continue on for the rest of the day, because it does take hours for that to actually go through properly and be all dry and ready for storage at the end of the night. Alright, so I've started off by just emptying the dishwasher and then reloading it with the dirty dishes so I can turn that one on and have it working for me in the background whilst I continue through the rest of the jobs I have to get done in the kitchen today, and before heading upstairs to do some decluttering. So if you're new to my channel, hi and welcome. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much for swinging by and joining us here today with this cleaning motivation and decluttering motivation. So if you are new, one of the things about my videos is you will quite often see me starting off in the kitchen or just being in the kitchen in general for cleaning. That is because it is one of those areas that seems to have the constant need for cleaning, as I'm sure everyone experiences. Like, it's one of the most used spaces in the house, and for me it is the heart of the home. It is also the one that I feel is the most necessary to get on top of. Once I have it clean, then I feel like I can go through and tackle any other projects I have around the house during the day, because I know that that area is done, it is clean, the dishes are on in the dishwasher ready for later, and that it means that the the space is available ready for dinner at the end of the day as well. So one of my things, which I know everyone has their own things, I personally love waking up to a clean kitchen. I also love coming home to a clean kitchen, but life gets in the way and I'm realistic about it. And what I will actually try to do is just make sure everything is tidy at the end of the day before I go to bed, rather than being actually clean and all the dishes done. So you'll quite often see me doing the dinner dishes the next morning. The reason for this happening is because in our home, the evenings are most important to us. So I'm a stay-at-home mum because I want to be able to spend time with my daughter and with my husband. And that is our time together. So I don't worry about doing dinner dishes because I'd much rather spend the time that I would be doing the dishes in the kitchen post dinner with my family, basically. That's the end story. So I feel like having dirty dishes when I wake up in the kitchen is the lesser of two evils. The moral of the story is that it does mean that there are more dishes in the morning when we get up, but they are always, or at least not in today's situation, but they're normally over to the side at least, so we have space to be able to make coffees, breakfast, get school lunches packed, that kind of thing in the morning. So and because my daughter is at school age, she's in grade 1 now, and I'm a stay-at-home mum, I have this time during the day. So I always try and get my mornings 100% focused on housework, make sure the housework is up to date, make sure the laundry is up to date, and then the afternoon is either my time before I have to go pick her up and before it's then focusing on homework and dinner and bedtime routines and tuck-ins, and then time with my husband. Or I will use the afternoon to then accomplish another project before I have to go pick her up. So moving upstairs, we've got this little antique cabinet on our landing. Because it is directly opposite our bathroom, I use it as our bathroom only linen closet, and then in the drawers is all the spare bathroom products. Here I'm just repairing a nut that had somehow come off of the hardware. And so just reattaching that, and then just going through and giving this drawer a quick clean and declutter, because a certain young child has been receiving lots of things from school to do with dental work, and they've all ended up in there, including lots of rubbish, which I love the fact she knows that's where the spare things are. I don't love the fact that she feels like she needs to help restock it with what is not usable. But then I'm also just going through and and removing some of the old linen. So there's a couple baby towels in there that no longer need to be used. There are a couple towels that just never really get chosen or used, especially since we have recently bought some new bathroom linens in colour coding that I absolutely love. So these ones are now, which get washed, dried and put straight back up. So these are now all just the spare towels for when we have anyone that needs them, basically, especially my stepdaughter, so Tim's eldest daughter. When she comes to stay, she needs access to those. So just going through, clearing those out and putting the ones that we're keeping back in. And then moving into the master bedroom, I've got this antique Japanese cabinet, which I absolutely love. It's the most stunning, one of the most stunning pieces of furniture. I love the fact that the doors are all completely removable as well. But this is a cupboard where I keep all of my beauty products, so my personal spare beauty products, my jewelry, dress jewelry, costume jewelry, my jumpers, that kind of thing, hair appliances. But lately it's just become an absolute disastrous tangle. I also cannot remember the last time I went through and actually decluttered my jewelry. So I still have things here from when I was maybe 12 years old that I haven't worn since I was 12 years old. So I thought it was high time I went through and actually decluttered a lot of my jewelry. A lot of it is also costume jewelry that I bought for a very specific look or outfit or a party with a specific theme during my teen years, which are also still sitting there. So I went through, decluttered all, put it to the side, just so my stepdaughter, who is now 13, could have a look through it as well and see if there was anything in there that she liked. I think she selected maybe 2 or 3 things. Not her style. I completely appreciate that, because I'm getting rid of them. Obviously not my style either, but I thought I might as well give her a go and see what she thought. And then once I've got that top shelf decluttered, I'm just popping everything back in as neat and tidy as possible. And then at this point, I'm also going through and decluttering a couple of my jumpers. There's, for instance, a fair few in there that I needed to pass on for the next person to love. So there was one that was a black one with some beading, I guess, at the top that I absolutely love. It was wool and cashmere blend. Absolutely love it. One of my favorite jumpers in the world. But it hasn't fit me since before having my daughter. And I think at this point, she's now 6. I have to be realistic. It hasn't fit me in that many years. It's never going to fit me again. It's also just not really, I think, age group appropriate anymore. So I put that into donations as well. And then moving on to decluttering the top of our master bedroom wardrobe, which has collected a lot of dust. So cranking out the vacuum to pick up the majority of it and then wiping down the remaining. So I found the best way to get through and declutter this wardrobe was to just, like I did with the first two sections, and how I generally attack any sort of decluttering job, I just pulled everything out onto the floor and went through it one by one before putting it back in, removing things as I went that we definitely 100% do not need, or that are just taking up space. I've also started explaining this to the 6-year-old as well, that when we donate things, it means that instead of sitting there collecting dust, being sad and lonely, it gives someone else a chance to love the item, and the item gets to continue being loved, which is always nice for them as well. But I've also explained to her that it does take up space. It takes up space, it takes up time to keep things clean and organised if we don't need them. And so that's how I managed to help her sort of declutter her room as well. And we do that every year before her birthday, which is also only a couple months before Christmas. So we use that as a pre-birthday and Christmas kind of declutter moment, go through her clothes and her toys, that kind of thing. And I have to do the same thing here. So here I'm just using the vacuum to remove all the dust from our suitcases that have been sitting up there collecting dust. By the end of this day, I was so covered in dust, like my black had turned grey. It was insane. But one of the suitcases there is one that we definitely do not need. It came from my mother-in-law, and so I used that one, and it was, we didn't need that one, so I used that one to store in a lot of the donation stuff, because it was also going to the donations. So that way it was a lot easier to move it out and into the car, ready to go get dropped off. And then I stored the smallest suitcase bag within the medium one and stored down to the big one, so using up like less space that way as well, for being able to store all of them. And then moving on to this insane pile of shoeboxes. These shoeboxes have 2 pairs in each box. So I'm going to go through at this point and be absolutely brutal to get rid of all of these shoes, or as many of them as I possibly can. So my mother-in-law unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, but one of her passions was shoes. So when she passed away, I inherited, because we were the same size, about 300 pairs of heels. The majority of them brand new. So since then I've been slowly going through them, and, well, quickly at first, and then I got a bit tiring, so then it became slowly going through and donating them, giving them to friends, that kind of thing. So giving them an extra life to someone else that will love them just as much as she did. So here I'm just putting my handbags away. I know it's not the most beautiful of storage options, but I find it is super practical storing my handbags in this bag, which was actually a bedding bag. I think it came with a blanket or a couple of pillows. Must have been a blanket. I think it came with a blanket in it, but it works so well because it is plastic. It keeps all of the dust off of my bags, like a dust bag. But because it was designed for a blanket, it's actually really breathable, so nothing goes mildewy or smells funny or gets attracts moths or bugs or anything like that. So it actually seems to store it really, really well up there, and I love that. Alright, so then I'm just finishing off the day by putting everything back or moving them out ready for donations, putting items back where they're meant to be, and vacuuming up any of that leftover dust that came out with all the items. But that is it from me today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for clicking on and coming along with me for this cleaning and decluttering day. I really hope you've got some sort of satisfaction or motivation from it, and I will see you next week for the next video. Bye, guys.